instead of Charizard, it's going to be that Malamar VMAX with its Max Jammer attack. One of my absolute favorite attacks in the format because it can just totally disrupt your opponent, and you just get to choose a card from their hand and put it on the bottom of their deck. That is so, so good.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is two cards that don't get to see much play paired with the Arceus now. We're going to see exactly what they've got lined up for us.
Nothing too bad in either player's prizes. That one copy of the Crobat V can be a little annoying from Samuel if you're like needing to get bailed out by an unfortunate hand and then you go through your deck and see that it's prized. That can be a little unfortunate, but not too big of a deal. And we'll see, you know, hopefully it's not something that Samuel's going to have to worry about and can get those Bibarels set up and just start cruising with those Industrious Incisors.
I love cruising with my teeth out. I'll tell you what, that's exactly where you want to be.
That's what you and Bibarel have in common, I guess. Well, here we go. The match is getting started. Looks like Jeffrey Criss is going first, and that is an unfortunate start with Crobat V in the active. Never what you want to see.
Yeah, unlike last round where we saw Michael attacking with it, that is not what Jeffrey is here to do.
No, Jeffrey's not playing the Darkness Energies. While he does have a VMAX in his deck, it is not the Crobat VMAX, so it is going to be the Charizard. Jeffrey gets a good start, though. Gets that Arceus down and an energy on it. That's really all you can ask for as this as an Arceus player on turn one.
Yeah, and you see Samuel following suit very quickly with a double turbo energy of his own. We see the Bidoof as well, and looks like there's some supporter play here too, and the path to the peak. So that's exactly what you want to look for in this mirror matchup, is when's the right time to play this card down? He's going to go now.
Yeah, Path is very strong because it can turn off your opponent's ability to use Starbirth, which is super important in this matchup. Kind of an unfortunate discard, though, there from Samuel. Professor's Research is an excellent card to see on turn one, but having to discard a Bibarel and a Malamar VMAX, two of your evolution Pokemon, doesn't feel the best. But Samuel does find a quick ball off of this, and I gotta feel like this can grab either a Malamar or an Arceus. I wonder which one Samuel will choose to go with.
Yeah, this is a little bit tricky here early in the game. Want to see how you want to combat when you see your opponent already has that Arceus V ready to go with the energy down.
And I wonder if Samuel knows what to expect from Jeff's deck, because right now, I mean, it just looks like a normal Arceus deck. You know, and you sit across from this and be like, okay, probably just Arceus Intellion, maybe it's an Arceus Dark deck with their own Bibarels, and then your opponent benches a Charizard V, and you're like, this is 4-0. And sure enough, Jeff 4-0 with the Charizard V-Star.
Jeff is certainly a personality out there. It is hard to not see him play in the game, and he's been showing that Charizard off a lot. So I would like to think that it has gotten word over to Samuel now, but who knows?
Yeah. And Samuel has the option here. Going second can use Trinity Charge on Arceus V, allowing you to just get 3 energies out of the deck and put them on to your Pokemon V in any way that you like. Samuel did choose to get the Malamar V, so I think we're going to start to see some Max Jammers pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is a pretty clean start, being able to load up that Malamar. And if you can work on your opponent's hand while a path is locked in play, this is where you want to be. We see right now only 4 cards in Jeffrey's hand, and who knows if he has the answers here.
So now it'll pass over to Jeffrey. Has a Boss's Orders as the top deck, a Charizard VMAX in the hand. Oh, and it's an attach and a pass. That is terrible. Not what you want to see at all. And Samuel has an Evolution Incense in hand, so has the option to just go in with a Max Jammer this turn, take a one-hit knockout on the Crobat V, take 2 prize cards, and then also put a card from Jeffrey's hand onto the bottom of the deck. Samuel eyeing up the Arceus V-Star to start with, but I gotta imagine a Malamar VMAX seems like a decent attack this turn.
Yeah. There is a path to play.
Can't use this. Yeah. Jeffrey catching it right away. So that's okay. No big deal. No illegal searches or anything like that went down. The Arceus does get evolved. There's an energy in hand. I think Samuel here is going to be reliant on the Bibarel. Actually has escape rope, so something that Samuel could go with is a rope onto the Arceus that has the energy and get a hit off on that. Being the first player to hit into an Arceus in this mirror match feels really good.
Yeah, right now we see that ideally both of these Pokemon are going to be able to knock out a Crobat V, but getting the damage in onto the Arceus would be huge. You really put your opponent on that one-turn clock where they need to start drawing those cards. And if you're removing cards from the hand too with Max Jammer, you're just in a really strong spot. We also see the Bibarel right there too, so going to continue to draw more cards.
Has the air balloon, has the energy drop as well. So yeah, can take the knockout on Crobat, can hit into the Arceus. It's just going to be up to what does Samuel want to go with. The air balloon can come down probably onto the Bibarel, seems pretty decent, or the active if you want to potentially retreat into the Malamar if you draw into an out to find it here. Well, I don't see it in hand, but there is a supporter, and there's also a crushing hammer. We were talking about this before this match, how good this card can be. And let's see how the coins are feeling for Samuel today. Heads or tails? What do you think, Kyle?
Oh, this is heads every time. The way this is opening up.
Yeah.
I've never been more sure in my life.
And a pretty easy choice, I think, there to get rid of that double turbo energy. Now Jeff needs to find another double turbo energy. If you get rid of the fire energy, you know, either a double turbo or fire will work to be able to potentially attack. So getting rid of that double turbo really strong.
Samuel does have the choice belt now, so additional damage available.
Yes, has another Malamar V in hand, though I'm not sure if there's ways to recover Pokemon in this list, so I'm not sure if Samuel's even going to be able to get back that Malamar that got sent to the discard pile.
Not seeing it.
Is going to retreat and go with the escape rope, wants to target down this Arceus. I like this play a lot. Yeah,
this is strong. You're going to be able to get that damage down. Very relevant here. Little unfortunate that there isn't another Pokemon that you can charge these energies onto. But we potentially are going to see this research now to start to move and see maybe another Malamar or one of these other secondary attackers that Samuel plays.
Another Arceus, I think, could be good here, and there is a quick ball drawn off of this research, so just getting another energy on that could be good. Samuel actually discards a Malamar V, so I think that there's pretty much no way we're going to be seeing another Malamar VMAX besides the one on the bench. I think if I was Samuel, would really want to try to evolve my Malamar V on the bench this turn, because Jeffrey could threaten a knockout on Malamar V, on the Malamar V, but if it's a VMAX, that's not an option.
We're seeing pumpkin time.
I like this. That pumpkin pit ability allowing you to discard a stadium card in play, and this is going to allow Samuel to now utilize Starbirth, and that can open up your deck so much. You can get any 2 cards out.
Yeah, as great as the Path to the Peak is right now, if you're able to start looking through your deck and maybe start to clean up some of these Pokemon on the other side for Jeffrey, that's very nice.
And Samuel has a second Path to the Peak in hand as well. So now what Samuel can do is Pumpkin Pit away this path, use their ability, Starbirth, get any 2 cards out, and then put the other Path to the Peak back into play, so Starbirth is still not an option for Jeff.
That's mean.
It's kind of mean, yeah. It feels almost like a Hex Maniac, you know? And that card got banned.
Yeah, when you're able to use the ability that your opponent so desperately wants to do on their side, yeah, you're definitely putting Jeff in a tough spot. And he's been looking at the same 4 or 5 cards over and over again, hoping that they turn into something else. And, oh, man, we even see more Crushing Hammer potentially. This could get nasty.
Starbirth for the Crushing Hammer. You love to see it. And Samuel, I guess after flipping that first heads, he was really feeling himself. Wants to go for this other hammer and see if he can just really put Jeffrey in a terrible position.
All right, well, then you tell me if this one's hitting, because I'm not ready.
I mean, honestly, with the way this setup is going for Samuel and the way it is for Jeff, it's a definite hit. And sure enough, Jeff sees the heads and concedes, says there's no shot I can come back from this, scoops the cards up and says, I'm going to take my chances in game 2.
Well, we promised you guys Charizard. I don't know if we're going to be able to fulfill that promise. I really hope that Jeffrey is able to place a Pokemon for us here in this second game, but what a dominant opening from
Jeez.
Samuel.
Yeah, very consistent, a great setup, and we got to see kind of all of the tricks that Samuel's deck has. We didn't see the Malamar attack, but we saw the Bibarel get set up, draw some extra cards with the Industrious Incisors. We saw the Pumpkaboo play, the one-sided ability lock. That is such a strong play in the Arceus Mirror if you can pull it off. It's kind of a lot to find, but if you can do it, it puts you so far ahead.
Yeah, we didn't even get to see the true power of Malamar really either.
No.
Getting into that hand and starting to mess with cards. But hey, if the opening path to the peak does that for you, then more power to you.
And Jeff, I think over here just kind of being like, man, started 4-0, and then that happens. It always feels so bad, especially, you start 4-0, you get onto the stream, you get excited to play in front of a bunch of people, and then your deck just does not set up the way it's meant to, and your opponent draws everything they need. When you're in situations like this, you've played for a long time, Kyle. I'm sure you've been down game ones where you drew really bad. How do you keep your mental resolve about you and set yourself forward to game 2 and hopefully a game 3?
Well, that just goes into getting prepared for the tournament. You know that if you built your deck the right way, in my mindset, you have that consistency built in. You know that when you do draw like that and your deck does play like that, it's not going to happen back-to-back, more likely than not. So you just got to believe in your deck and know that you have a very good opportunity here, being able to choose who goes first in this game, and you just need your opponent to have one of those games, game 3, and you're right back in this thing.
Absolutely. And something I think Jeff would be happy to know is that 2 of those Crushing Hammers are in the prize cards for Sam, so that is a definite sigh of relief.
Yep, we are going to see Jeffrey starting off with that Ultra Ball, getting to search for a Crobat. That's an ability. Jeffrey's got to be feeling great.
Yeah, you can use this ability. This is a card that a lot of players are using on turn 1. Ever since Sword and Shield came out, the rules of the game changed. You can no longer play a supporter card on turn number 1, but Crobat is a way you can still see more and more cards. But it seems like Jeff has a good enough hand where he feels fine to just grab the Charizard V. You love to see it.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. We do see the early bench too. I think that may lead to us seeing that energy attachment onto the Arceus, just thinking, I'm going to be able to get this guy juiced up pretty quickly.
Yeah, has a Pokegear in hand. Pretty solid consistency card that doesn't actually see that much play. And that's an interesting tech on Samuel's side as the top deck. The 1 copy of Judge also has the Marnie in hand. This hand is not the best for Samuel. It's kind of looking like just play a supporter and hope I find an Arceus plus energy.
Yeah, when you see that your opponent didn't play too much, but also it's their opening turn, they got their energy attachment down, it's hard to get a real good read. And just going for the Marnie seems like the solid play there. Maybe you put them in that weird hand again, but you are asking for a lot from those 5 cards.
Yep, needs an Arceus and an energy, and does find the pieces. Also has a Quick Ball as well, has Luminion there in the hand. A really solid card right now.
Yeah, this is perfect. And now you start to wonder, all right, does Jeffrey have everything on his side of the board? Is he going to be able to get that V-Star into some path shenanigans? Because that's something that could certainly shut down Samuel.
This is really interesting. Samuel's choosing to discard the basic energy, so no longer has an energy attachment in hand, and is eyeing up the Crobat. I wonder if Samuel is trying to dig for the path to the peak here and is really going to try to value getting that ability lock set up.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the list here now. I'm looking at Jeffrey's. Of course, he has those Magma Basin in there so that he can get all of those energies accelerated. Right. Not worried about shutting down his opponent whatsoever. Just wants to go very aggressive with that Charizard.
Definitely. Now Samuel will draw at least 4 cards with the Dark Asset. Yeah, Luminion and Arceus V-Star, those last 2. So let's see what these 4 have. Needs to find an energy, and I imagine this dig is looking for the path and doesn't find an energy.
Yeah, I'm thinking that energy was more important than Luminion.
Maybe so, and Samuel chooses to discard it and is forced to just pass over to Jeff, and this is an excellent opening.
Oh.
Magma Basin, Professor's Research, and a bunch of fire energies in the discard pile.
Yeah, this is a great way to get that damage onto your Charizard V so you can start doing a ton of damage later on, also get some energies accelerated, but does Jeffrey have the rest of the cards he needs? He's going to need to find an evolution here and then that double turbo energy.
Has the Ultra Ball, can grab an Arceus V-Star with this, and we know the power of Starbirth. Jeffrey is going to be able to set up just about anything he wants to this turn. So we'll see what route he chooses to take. Definitely needs a double turbo energy, but what is this other card, I wonder?
Well, I like Belt here.
Nice.
Being able to get that that knockout right now onto the Malamar would be absolutely crucial, and get the energies charged up onto that Charizard V.
So Jeffrey plays both Charizard VMAX, 2 copies of that, and then also 1 copy of Charizard V-Star. So navigating between which one of those 2 powerful evolution Pokemon you want to use, I think can be really interesting. And Jeffrey will just get that belt attached and the double turbo energy and takes a 2-prize knockout on turn 2. And Samuel has no response really in hand.
This is absolutely nasty.
Does Samuel have the Raihan in this list? Does play 1 copy of it, so can find that with the Starbirth. Of course, we see Fan of Waves popping in energy back into the deck as well. Jeffrey's going to take a couple prize cards, being that Arceus and Quick Ball, it looks like. Ooh, and a heads flip on the Crushing Hammer. It must be good to be Samuel today.
Yeah, new game, same Samuel.
So Jeffrey chose not to accelerate any energies with the Magma Basin that last turn. Why do you think that is, Kyle? Maybe trying to avoid putting the damage in play?
Yeah, you can definitely see that with your hit points, you could be thinking about your opponent potentially finding that choice belt in combination with boss's orders. So maybe you want to be a little hesitant while you're still a V. Think about maybe when you become a V-Star.
So Lumineon can find the Raihan, Starbirth could find the Raihan. Either option would work, and Lumineon will hit the field. Luminous Sign can search any supporter card out of the deck, and if Samuel wants to attack this turn, this card choice really has to be the Raihan.
Yeah, this is such a big card that's been included in so many different decks now. Just being able to have that return answer, you know your opponents are going to be getting very aggressive with cards like Arceus V, these Urshifu decks that just get rolling so quickly on times, and just having that answer built in is so crucial.
Yeah, I love the comeback cards like this that we've had over the years. It reminds me of things like Twins and Teammates, Rosa, all these cards that you can only use when you are behind or if your opponent took a knockout on the last turn of the game, because it allows you to just find pieces you need to fight back into the game. It really does help to make a format feel balanced and fun.
Cynthia's Ambition, Rapid Strike Malamar. Yep. There's some nasty cards that your opponent needs to think about when they take a knockout.
So this Raihan can grab any 1 card out of the deck and put it into hand, and then Starbirth can grab any 2 cards out of the deck and put them into the hand. Samuel probably wants to set up a Malamar, as we see that being brought to the front of the hand, and that will be the grab off the Raihan. And now I imagine, well, maybe has a supporter card in hand that, or no, he's already played the Raihan, right? So
yeah.
I wonder what Samuel's thinking here before going in with the Starbirth.
Yep. Obviously, the double turbo is absolutely crucial. Going to need to grab that, seize that first. But what do you want to do next? Do you maybe want to go after Crushing Hammer? You can avoid that double turbo energy in combination with boss's orders to knock out a second Malamar V. Do you want to think about your return setup for the future? Do you want to have more Pokemon available? There's so many different routes to go, but you only have 1 card.
Yeah, I feel like a Bidoof is a decent option. Path to the Peak is pretty good as well because it'll do 2 things. It will limit any abilities on Jeff's side, something like a Crobat or anything like that. And then also takes a Magma Basin out of play, forces Jeff to find another one if he wants to get that energy acceleration.
Yeah, we see just the Bidoof there on the other side of the board. V-Star already flipped over, so Jeffrey is going to have the answer in his hand. And the pressure is on. Damage is coming down this turn.
Path to the Peak replaces Magma Basin. It hits the discard pile, and Trinity Nova deals a solid 180, and the Malamar on the bench can get totally loaded up. Now, if Jeff just has a double turbo and a boss's orders, he can take another 2-prize KO and just take this Malamar V out of play. and never have to deal with the Malamar VMAX theoretically.
Wow, already has the base in. I think I see the quick ball as well. So we'll be able to thin this hand down, go and grab a Crobat potentially, and really start to churn and look for that double turbo and that boss's orders.
And that Bidoof came into play last turn, so Jeff can, of course, also find a Bibarel. There's a lot of cards that can potentially be drawn this turn. You know, not even counting your supporter card, whether that be, you know, something like a Marnie or Research to draw more, or it also could allow you to find a boss's orders potentially.
All right,
the
fresh.
full 6.
Exactly what you're looking for here.
And let's see what these 6 have. There is the Charizard VMAX. Ultra Ball in hand as well. Also the Charizard V-Star, I think, just all the Charizards showing up here in this hand.
And I think I see Escape Rope too, which means that a lot of these Pokemon could potentially be knocked out. Everything on the bench is looking a little weak.
Yeah, Jeff would need to find, I think, just an air balloon or another switching card, something like that, in order for that to be really strong. Or with the Magma Basin plus another energy can attack with a Charizard V-Max or V-Star.
Oh, we'll see what potentially Bibarel has in store for us. We do see that big Charizard there.
Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze, a card that has really not seen much play, but with the release of Brilliant Stars, one of possibly the best stadium cards I think that Pokemon has ever printed in Magma Basin came out. And Jeff is just going to go with the Escape Rope right away. I think really going to be digging for this double turbo energy to go in with a G-Max Wildfire.
That would be something here, and you already know that this Charizard's going to be sticking around
Looking
for a minute.
4 cards.
Oh!
There's the double turbo. The first card rips it right away, and you don't even care about attaching this because it's going to get discarded right away, so it perfectly works with the attack requirement of G-Max Wildfire. 280 damage, more than enough to knock out the Lumineon V. And now Jeff goes down to just 2 prize cards remaining.
That's absolutely filthy. You just, it's so clean when you think about these Arceus decks. They play these double turbo energies, and then what do? You're usually looking for basic energies. You just want to get the ball rolling. These double turbos don't provide that much of effect. But in this deck, you just see, bam, 300 damage, well, 280, and you get to just take away any Pokemon, essentially.
Samuel has Piers in hand as well as Marnie and Research, the 3 supporters to choose from. Piers can guarantee you the Malamar, but at this point, do you need more than just the Malamar? Do you need to find, you know, some other Pokemon potentially? I guess the other 2 Crushing Hammers are prized, so there's nothing you could really find in that aspect as far as disruption goes. And with just a Marnie being played, Samuel is really going to be looking for the Malamar VMAX here.
Yeah, some disruption would be absolutely crucial. You need to make sure that Jeffrey is not finding that next double turbo energy, and finding a counter stadium too would be very nice.
There is the Malamar VMAX, so it can come into play. We can see the Max Jammer, and Max Jammer, really powerful effect, allowing you to put a card from your opponent's hand on the bottom of their deck, and you get to choose what card it is. But Jeffrey has the perfect answer to Malamar VMAX in Bibarel on the bench.
Yeah, just eyeing up what the rest of this turn has in store. Just going to play a couple more cards down.
Yeah, Hoopa V, not great in this matchup, but solid card in this deck in general. Obviously here, I think, for the things like Urshifu and also Mew as well. And there's the Max Jammer.
Ooh.
And there's some decent options here in this hand. What is the best card, though? I think the Energy Switch
has to be. Yeah, that's game if it's not.
Yeah, oh, Jeff needs to find the Choice Belt as well, which we see is in the hand. So,
yes, yeah.
So needs a Choice Belt. Choice Belt plus double turbo energy is enough to win the game here. Let's see if Jeff can pull the pieces together. Is going to have to draw off of the Bibarel. It's going to come down to these incisors. How industrious are they feeling today?
They look pretty industrious, my guy, I'm telling you.
Jeffrey can also find a double turbo plus a boss potentially, though I guess it doesn't really matter since Choice Belt we already know is in the hand. So knocking out the active Malamar works just as good as knocking anything else out.
Also really clean there, being able to get that shuffle so that you can potentially get that energy switch back as a live card.
Yeah, so Jeff needs to find either double turbo energy or can also find energy switch plus a fire energy. So a few different routes here to potentially get off this last G-Max Wildfire. Puts a couple of draw supporters back with the Pal Pad. Both cards I'm sure Jeff would love to draw into. And gets the double turbo, the last card off of the Bibarel, takes the KO on Malamar VMAX, and Charizard VMAX takes the KO and sends this to a Game 3.
Wow, right off the last card of the deck, being able to clutch up and give Jeffrey this opportunity in Game 3. Game 1 was not looking good. Jeffrey did not get to play Pokemon. He definitely played some Pokemon just there.
Absolutely. That was peak Pokemon, if you ask me. Loved to see that. Jeff did, if there wasn't a double turbo there as that last card, the rest of the cards drawn off Industrious Incisors were pretty much useless. There was no supporter card. A Quick Ball, I think you could have thinned a card out, but there's no more Crobat left. So I think it really came down to Jeff needing to hit either a draw supporter or the double turbo off of that Bibarel. He gets the card he needs, forces a Game 3.
Yeah, this is exactly where we want to be. We see 26 minutes still left on the clock. Both
Plenty
these
of
players
time.
have proven that they can win a quick game here. And we're going to see, are these energies going to get down onto the Arceus? Are both players going to be able to perform as they want? Is Samuel going to be able to completely shut things out like in Game 1? I'm so excited to find out what we have in store in Game 3.
Can't wait to see how this will play out. Samuel will likely be choosing to go first, so he'll have the option to be the first player with an Arceus attack on turn 2. It looks like Jeff has a mulligan, so Samuel will get a couple, at least one extra card to work with at the beginning of the game. The Ditto in the prizes, Bidoof, the Hammer, the Path. Nothing too bad. I mean, I think the hammers are pretty good in the deck, so prizing one means that's one less you'll have the option to find, but you got to prize something, right?
Yeah, you know, you play 60 cards every once in a while. 1 or 6 of them ends up in the prize cards. So.
And now we'll see if Jeff can find a basic Pokemon, and we can get Game 3 underway here in round number 5.
That's not a good one. You got the Crobat.
Oh no, that's the same thing Jeff started in game number 1. That is not a good sign.
Well, those prize cards are not too bad, but holy for holies, there's a lot of work to do right now. Crobat and your opponent is going first.
Not ideal, and Samuel starts the Arceus V, so much, much better over on this side of the field. Has a Malamar VMAX in hand, has that Avery in hand as well.
Double Turbo?
Ultra Ball as well, can go get a Malamar V so that this VMAX in hand can get evolved on turn 2. Or you could just save the Ultra Ball potentially for an Arceus V Star. Both options seem decent.
Yeah, even has the Evolution Incense. So.
Yep.
Yeah, this hand's just pretty good.
Solid place to be. I don't think you mind discarding the Avery. It's not super strong against Jeff's deck, and you already have a research in hand, right?
Yep. I like 7 more than 3, so I would definitely get rid of that.
I think the decision just comes down to what's the other card to discard, and it seems like Samuel is choosing to get rid of the Air Balloon. Now, Samuel could grab the Malamar V, which I think would make sense since the VMAX is in hand. You could also make an argument for maybe getting down Bidoof, because establishing Bibarel really quickly is a good idea, but Samuel seems to think that with the Malamar VMAX in hand, Malamar V is the better choice.
Yeah, I think that either play is strong. Of course, being able to get the Bibarel down early means that you could draw into more cards, maybe find that Malamar later on. This is just a safe play where it's like, all right, well, I know I'm going to be able to use my Arceus V-Star ability next turn, but am I going to have the Pokemon in play, or can I go and search for some fun cards like Path?
Choosing to bench the Hoopa V gets it into play. Not something that I think will be too big of a factor in this matchup. It can't even knock out Crobat on Jeff's side, but just getting it out of play, you know, it's not too big of a deal to have it on the bench.
All right, big old Pokegear here. 7 cards looking for a supporter.
There's a boss. That's not what you want to see. No, needed to find a researcher Marnie there. 7 cards, and the only choice was boss. Now shuffling those cards back into the deck. You got to think that is not what Jeff wanted to see here.
Yeah, I don't know what else is going on in that hand, because it's not pretty. Okay. Yep. that answers our question. There's a lot of Charizards, too.
Jeez. Discards a Bibarel, a Charizard VMAX, and a Charizard V-Star, and 2 energy cards. Had the research at least, but now Jeff is really going to be hoping to find an Arceus and an energy, which it does look like he's able to get.
Yeah, absolutely huge, being able to find those cards. Also finding the Quick Ball, so maybe you can start to get that Bidoof in play, lock, and get yourself ready. Or, seeing the same thing as Samuel, just saying, you know what? If I got this, I'll be able to at least play the game. So let's do that.
Yeah, gets the Charizard V. I think had the VMAX in hand. So kind of similar to the turn from Samuel, to be honest. Attachment to an Arceus, get your V into play since you have the VMAX in hand. And that's a good top deck on Samuel's side. Gets the energy card. So this Arceus V is ready to attack after becoming a V-Star. And it's going to be an easy 2-prize KO on this Crobat.
Yeah, I could potentially see Path to the Peak in combination with a Crushing Hammer.
Yeah.
And if you hit that Crushing Hammer, you have to think that Samuel's going to be way ahead. Jeffrey only has 3 cards in hand. He's going to be facing a big knockout on the second turn here. And if there's no energies in play, how do you get back from that?
Yeah, this is not looking good for Jeffrey if Samuel can find that combo of cards. So let's see if Samuel goes that route. And if that hammer hits a heads, that is always a big factor, of course. Has the Malamar and a supporter card in hand. What was it? 1 single card. Is that a singular research in hand?
I was leaning that way, so I think it is. And Samuel's going to be safe, make sure that that deck shuffle did occur. And yeah, you might as well take a look at these cards before you use Starbirth. That seems like pretty optimal ordering.
Yes. Now, yeah, definitely a good decision. No reason to Starbirth before playing the research because what you draw off of these 7 could affect what you want to get off of your other 2. 7 cards drawn on the research. No high fives. That's okay. We'll let it slide this time. And Samuel does find the Crushing Hammer. This could be a big flip here.
Yeah, this could answer everything.
Hasn't missed a hammer yet this set. Is this one going to be a heads?
Ooh.
It had to stop at some point.
Well, I don't know if he's ready for it to stop. He might go look for number 2.
Is definitely an option. Nothing really going on.
This is really safe.
Okay, going to hold off on the Starbirth. And I actually like this. There's really no reason. You don't need anything else this turn. You can get the energies in play. And you know your Arceus isn't going to be KO'd. So you can always, on the next turn, Starbirth for whatever you want based on what your opponent does.
Well, I think the only thing that this play opens up is Jeffrey is now on that 1-turn clock where he could find his Arceus V-Star of his own and get the ball rolling. But if you get through that turn, Samuel's looking really good.
So Samuel takes 2 prizes, accelerates 2 energy to the Malamar VMAX and 1 energy to the Hoopa, spreading these energies out so that either attacker can be an option. I always love to see, you know, smart decisions like that. Jeff needing a top deck and hits the Evolution Incense. There was nothing going for Jeff in that hand before this card.
That is a punish. That's 100% a punish.
And now can use Starbirth. Samuel did not get the Path to the Peak in play, so Jeff can get out of this hand with something like a Crobat or potentially a Research or a Marnie.
You know, we're running out of these Charizard evolutions, but at least there's 1 in hand, so you can get that down right now if you want. And yeah, I think that Research would line up pretty nicely right now. You don't really care about that boss's orders in hand. There's already a lot of big HP Pokemon in play. Just start attacking, and maybe these will start lining up.
I think Jeff went with the Marnie, and Samuel's sitting on a pretty sizable hand. So I like this decision, though. It's always tempting whenever there's really nothing great in your hand to just go in with the Research and draw a bunch. But yeah, Marnie limiting Samuel, I think, is a pretty good decision.
Well, no decisions for Jeffrey. No movement, really. Doesn't have to put any cards away. Just going to go ahead and get going.
And gets the Bidoof, can start to establish that. Gets the Magma Basin as well. And is set up to start swinging into this Arceus. And I wonder if Samuel will have the response off of just 4 cards.
Now, I remember you said that we had some energies hit the discard. Were they fire energies early, or?
I think it was 1 fire and 1 double turbo. But Jeff I think wisely here, is going to hold off on putting that stadium in play, just in case Samuel puts a path down, you want to be able to counter it, in case you want to use your Crobat or something like that.
Yeah, math works out. Right now, even then, if you find that basic fire energy and then you use the Magma Basin, you're going to have your 5 energies. If your opponent finds Crushing Hammer, then you just Magma Basin double turbo. So this will work out just fine for Jeffrey unless we see multiple of those Crushing Hammers hit. And if that's happening, you're already in a lot of trouble.
Samuel is not playing any copies of Sharon's Care. I was going to say that that would be a really strong play this turn, especially since you could V-Star power for it with the Starbirth, but there's no copies in this list. So Samuel's going to go with the Boss and get a hit off on this Charizard, and I like this as well. This is a massive threat, and that was kind of the issue in the last game. Jeffrey got the first hit off with Arceus V-Star, got the first hit off with the Charizard VMAX, and then Samuel couldn't respond to it. Now by bossing it up, getting a hit on it, you're really putting on the pressure.
Yeah, if you let this Charizard VMAX go unchecked for 2 turns, there's no coming back from that point. You also put your opponent on that 1-turn clock of really, if you want to knock out this Malamar VMAX in 1 hit, you're going to have to do it this turn. You're going to need to find Boss's Orders.
Samuel eyes up the path to the peak. I'm going to try to hope that that slows Jeffrey down, and is also getting a Boss's Orders, I guess, to potentially bring the Charizard back up next turn, potentially, if Jeffrey was to switch it or something like that. Just give yourself plenty of options. I think, you know, the 4 cards were probably pretty good off the Marnie if those are what you're getting off of your Starbirth.
Looking like it, and we should see a nice bit of chip damage coming down onto that Charizard VMAX, and a lot of these energies accelerated too, even the double turbo now.
Samuel could go in with the Malamar VMAX this turn, go for a Max Jammer, hit for 160. Something kind of interesting, though, is because of that double turbo, a Max Jammer hitting twice for 160 would not knock out this 330 hit point Charizard. So Samuel will just go in with Arceus this turn, Trinity Nova, get 3 more energies into play, and set this Charizard up to be knocked out next turn.
It's a little peculiar to see the double turbo come down. There's 3 dark energies in the deck, and I mean, 2 to Hoopa and 1 to Malamar seems like pretty good.
Yeah, I guess just wanting to get it out of the hand in case Jeffrey, you know, plays another Marnie or something like that. You know, it's not a card that you want in the deck anymore. Jeffrey eyes up a Charizard V. I think the other Charizard evolution pieces already got discarded this game.
Yes, yeah, there was an early discard of a lot of crucial pieces.
So we'll just still put it onto the bench. That's actually the Charizard from, I think that's the promo, isn't it? The one from the Champions Path ETB, I believe. And now Jeffrey, using the retreat, uses the Magma Basin to get that extra energy in play and can take the knockout with Trinity Nova to tie the game up, though Samuel does have a lot, or sorry, Jeffrey has a lot of damage on the Charizard VMAX, and Samuel, I'm sure, is ready to go to take that out. And we know Samuel prepped for this with the Boss's Orders off the Starbirth. Really smart play.
Yeah, thinking ahead, definitely, and I'm curious to see where these energies go. Look like it's going to be a little bit of a split.
Okay, I like this. I don't think, let's see, does Jeff have any recovery cards? I'm not seeing any like ordinary rods or anything like that, so it might just be attacking with this Charizard and hoping that's enough. The regular Charizard V, potentially.
Yeah.
So Max Jammer, the Malamar VMAX, comes to the active spot, does have that DTE on it. Samuel draws for turn, has a replacement stadium. That's a great top deck. Can get rid of the Magma Basin, also lock abilities, and has Boss's Orders in hand prepped from the Starbirth.
Yeah, we do see likely going to be targeting that big Charizard VMAX there. Get a lot of prize cards and to start to clean up some of these big attackers remaining. There's not much left over on Jeffrey's side. Really just working with that Charizard now, or some consistent 180 hits from his Arceus.
Yeah, it might be kind of just on the back of this Arceus. And Samuel's actually going to retreat here into the Hoopa and go for the KO with this Hoopa. I said at the beginning I didn't think Hoopa was going to come in and take any KOs, and I guess Samuel heard me and just wanted to prove me wrong here because it's getting in there and taking 3 prizes.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's a threat for it to be knocked out. Well, now there is, choosing to put the damage onto the Hoopa instead of onto the Malamar VMAX, but having a nice clean Malamar VMAX when your opponent's sitting with 4 prize cards left, that's something to be excited about.
And Jeffrey's really having a tough time deciding what to send up here. Obviously, your Arceus can hit really hard, but it's not knocking out this Hoopa yet unless you can find the Choice Belt. Let's see if Jeffrey can dig for that card, and I actually don't think Jeffrey has a piece to look for in hand.
Yep, he does have one more in deck, I believe, but being able to search that is going to be tricky. So yeah, looks like going after this Malamar is the strongest play here. Going to just try to get some work in on it now. And then we're going to see a lot of Boss's Orders dodging from this point forward, because damage is going to come down.
Yeah, 200 HP remaining on the Charizard. So it's out of range of both of the Pokemon from Samuel, unless Samuel can get a Choice Belt or something like that. Has a Crushing Hammer as well. This could be a big flip and really potentially limit Jeff. Samuel only has one prize card left.
Yeah, things have been moving quickly here in Game 3. Samuel trying to work through the rest of this hand. Of course, Path to the Peak still in play, so abilities to get through this deck aren't going to be there. Crushing Hammer.
Could be a big flip. Ooh, and another Tails. 2 Tails in this game for Samuel.
Used it early.
Yeah, used the good luck, the run good in game number 1.
Bidoof a little late to the party.
I actually really like that Jeff chose not to bench Bidoof way earlier on in this game, because that's an easy way for Samuel to close the game out. Boss's Orders on Bidoof. You know, we see the situation where Samuel has one prize card left. So even though it means Jeff isn't really drawing any other cards, unfortunately, it is a potential lose condition. So I think that was a really heads-up decision from Jeff, and it's probably why we didn't see it come down.
Yeah, that's 7 prize or even 8 prize game that we see players working through. That's the sign of a good player, and Jeffrey's definitely got that in his back pocket.
Samuel goes with the Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards that he doesn't feel like he needs. He can get any Pokemon out of the deck. What do we think this is going to eye up?
It's hard to tell. If you can set up combinations with Pumpkaboo and your abilities, that'd be nice. I didn't know if there was any more in the hand to make that work.
Yeah, if there's like a Quick Ball or Ultra Ball, you could go get Lumineon or Crobat, I guess. But it doesn't look like those are in the hand at all.
Is that a Judge?
I think it was that one copy of Judge. Really good tech for the Mew matchup with this deck, where you can judge and force shuffle your opponent's deck after they've Rotom Phoned to stack a Stadium on top. But it's always funny when these like tech cards for one specific matchup become your only option in other games where they're normally not very good.
Yeah, everyone who's looking at that going, is it Marnie better? Well, hang on there, buddy.
Oh yeah, has the Marnie in hand as well. Okay, so either one is an option. And in this instance, I feels like the extra card you get from Marnie is probably worth it. And he does choose to use that Pumpkin Pit and remove the Path to the Peak from play. Can also get down Bidoof, though, like you said, it's almost a little too late for Bibarel to really have an impact.
Ooh.
Is actually going to go with the Judge.
Save the Marnie for later.
Okay. So off these 4 cards, honestly, I think Jeff is probably breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, because Jeff's hand, he really didn't have much going on. So this is a nice refresh on his side. Samuel, on the other hand here, I think is just looking for a Boss's Orders for the next turn. Your game plan at this point, it feels like, is hit this Arceus V-Star, Max Jammer, put a card onto the bottom of your opponent's deck, and then hope you can find Boss to clean up this Arceus after this.
Right. Find that Bibarel, find that Crobat, but you don't have the time to play it. You wait until next turn, and then you get rolling. You find those pieces to close the game out on this Arceus V-Star.
And Samuel finds the Choice Belt. That's actually a huge card to hit, because it can allow him to KO the Charizard V on the bench next turn, potentially.
And we see the Crobat in hand. I would like to wait on that.
Also played the Fan of Waves, removing the energy from this active Arceus, which was going to be Jeff's way to retreat this Arceus that's going to take a lot of damage this turn. And that Fan of Waves alone could potentially mean that Samuel just wins this game if Jeff doesn't find a way to move this Arceus out of the active spot.
Yeah, it definitely gets tricky from this point forward for Jeffrey. Just another piece that he's going to have to find off of the 4 cards he has right now.
Samuel chooses to go with the Crobat, grabs 4 cards off the top. I don't think anything else super useful there.
Lumineon.
Okay.
That's a boss.
And is Samuel going to retreat here? Go with the hard retreat into the Hoopa?
I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, I think it's fine to attack with your Malamar. You don't really care if Jeff KOs it because Jeff has 4 prizes left, right?
Yeah.
So it's not too big of a deal.
Let's take a card out of Jeffrey's hand.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
Get that knowledge. Figure out what Jeff has to work with, and you know that Jeff needs a pretty decent-sized combo. Or needs at least a few different things, right, to go right this turn to close out a game or to take a knockout. So take one of those combo pieces away potentially. The Choice Belt on the Hoopa is still good because it allows it to get in range of KOing this Charizard on the bench. And yeah, it will just be the max jammer. And that is not a good hand from Jeff. Jeff is going to have to put this energy switch on the bottom of the deck and is relying on this top deck. What is it? Is it a supporter card? It's a Raihan, and that's useless. And Jeff can't retreat this Arceus. The game is over. Jeff just has to pass. There's no plays he can make. No useful cards in the hand. And after a pass, all Samuel has to do is announce an attack, and Samuel will win the game.
Yeah, of course, Jeffrey going to look over one more time, see if there's any potential answer, but Raihan is not good when your opponent has 1 prize card left. I think he sees the writing on the wall here and understands this is not going to be his game.
Lamenting in the draws, I believe, at this point. Jeffrey just trying to figure out, is there any possible play for me? And I don't see it, Kyle. I don't think Jeffrey sees it, and that's probably because the play doesn't exist. And I think this is going to be it.
Well, hey, when you're that handsome, stay on stream for us for another 6.5 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're doing us all a favor.
Oh,
That's not how
play
that works.
Raihan. Can't play that.
Nope.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
I think that.
All right, that explains a lot.
That makes sense.
There
Yeah,
okay.
I was wondering why we were waiting through that one. Jeff was thinking about what to get off of a Raihan that unfortunately he was unable to play. And Samuel wins a pretty convincing game. Those crushing hammers were huge, and Malamar VMAX proves it's the superior VMAX Pokemon to Charizard.
And what a way to do it too. That was quite a 3-game set.
Super well played by both players. Love we got to see some Charizard on the stream. That game, too, was a lot of fun, though Jeff could not overcome Malamar, and Samuel moves on to 5-0, a great place to be sitting at a regional championships.
Yeah, and just sometimes it's just about having those cards that Arceus, and then you get your card set up, you make sure your opponent can't play Pokemon, and Samuel was able to do the dance, had that Pumpkaboo, made sure that he had his abilities right at the right time, and was able to just set up these checkmate positions that Jeffrey just could not work through.
Yeah, Jeffrey starting Crobat in 2 games, I think just really put him on the back foot 2 times in a row. So that's really unlucky and unfortunate to see on his side. I'm sure Jeff is going to do his best to bounce back and try to make a run at this event, still not out of it by